Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 198 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me this morning, or afternoon, or whatever time of day you're watching. I'm not even filming this in the morning. We might be in for a good ride today. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Sometimes things get a little bit off kilter here, but it's all in good fun. I'm so happy to have you here with me today if you're new and you've never stumbled across my channel before. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've managed to get done in the past week. And I'm so happy to have you here with me again for another episode to see what kind of trouble I'm getting into. So I'm just so happy to have anyone and everyone here, always. So it is Saturday, February 10th, 2024. And it's a gray overcast day here today. It's quite warm. I think this morning when we were heading out, it was 53 degrees Fahrenheit. And that was at like 8 o'clock, 8:15 this morning. So it's quite nice out. They're threatening snow for later this week. We shall see what comes of that, if anything comes of that. And what else? Let's just get into the elephant in the room. My Geogradient is done. I am so happy to have this done. I finished knitting it on Tuesday. Yeah, this past Tuesday. I got all the ends woven in. There were 473 ends, give or take one. There was a boatload of ends, and although I did weave them in somewhat as I was changing colors, I still had to go back through and make sure everything was woven in. I have to go back in and just shorten the ends a little bit, because I typically, when I'm weaving in ends, I will weave them in, clip them about an inch and a half long past the end where it's woven in, and then I block it. And then once the blocking is done, then I come back in and finish tucking in the ends, especially the ones that are threatening to peek out onto the right side of the fabric. But I don't trim them down oodles, because I do find that with wear it just tends, especially with 100% wool, it tends to felt against itself a little bit. So anyways, this is the Geogradient shawl. It is a pattern by Stephen West. It was the mystery shawl knit along pattern for 2023. I did start it in the beginning of October when the pattern came out, or the first clue came out, and then I fell behind. I always fall behind on these mystery shawl knit-alongs. I can't knit fast enough to keep up with them. It's just too much knitting for my hands and my free time allow. So I got it started on time, fell behind, then I kind of put it to the wayside in December while I was working on a lot of my Advent knitting, and then when January rolled around, I picked it up and got back into working on it. So it is done, and I love it. I did the shorter or smaller border on it so that it's big enough. It's a deep enough shawl that I didn't want to or think I needed the extra. And to be honest, I was out of patience for working on it. I wanted it done. So here we have it. It is quite large. It really is quite large. So that's just half of it. So even half of it runs from my fingertips to my my opposite shoulder. So it's a long shawl, and I love it. So the yarn I used for this was one of the suggested color combinations that was suggested and listed in the pattern and in the yarn choices on Stephen West's page. So the yarn I chose to use, I ordered it directly from Holst Yarn or Holstgarn in Denmark. Where's the middle? I think I've got this. I think I've got this. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I ordered my yarn directly from Holstgarn in Denmark, and I used Holst Super Soft, and the colors I used there were 4 shades of gray. They were from lightest to darkest: silver gray, flannel gray, slate gray, and graphite. So the 4 colors. I used, the recommended needle size was a US 4 or a 3.5 millimeter needle. So I used that, and I like it. There are some fun stitches in there. Like this was fun. The gradient is quite subtle, especially between these two, the second and third color. Even the second to the third to the fourth color, it's a very subtle gradient. And I'm okay with that. The lightest gray really pops. The other ones are very subtle. But I like it. I like it a lot. So I suspect this will get a fair bit of use for the remainder of the winter. It's because it's a nice warm wool sweater, a wool shawl. So I like it. So that's my finished object for the week, and I'm really happy with it. I am super glad to have this off the needles and done finally. Took me a while, but I did get it finished. Each one of the mystery knit-alongs, or the Stephen West mystery shawl knit-alongs that I've joined, I've never finished them at the same time as everyone else or as the fastest people in the group. And I eventually do finish them, but it's usually several months later, anywhere from January to March the following spring or following winter, after the pattern is released in October. And I'm fine with that. I'm drinking a cup of tea. Just plain old black, regular breakfast kind of tea at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Whatever. And I have 3 whips. I started to, I think since I last spoke to you, I've got work on one of my whips, and I started 2 new projects. So we'll go with the one that has, relatively speaking, the most work done on it. And these are the Sock Madness 18 warm-up pattern. I'm just being careful here because I don't want to send the yarn zinging all over the place. So here is what it looks like so far. This is going down the back of the leg. I have both of them done down to the heel turn. Now I'm ready to pick up the stitches and start doing the gussets and the gusset decreasing. So here's the back of one of the socks, sock B, and here is the back of sock A. Not probably the best combination of yarn and cable pattern, but it's a warm-up one and it's not as important as it would be during competition. And here's the front of sock B and sock A. Now when we go down the foot, this pattern will continue down the foot, and there's also a little cable design going down the side here that will go all the way down the foot. So these are ready for picking up the gusset stitches and moving down the foot. It's actually moving fairly quickly, surprisingly. It's moving along at a good pace, and I'm happy for that. So I need to have these done. Actually, I should probably hope to have them done before Wednesday. The deadline to have them done is on Tuesday at the end of the day, although making sure that they are done by that day is not super important for this specific round, because I think the qualifying round pattern might be coming out around the 14th or shortly after the 14th of February. Someone had commented that in the comments last week when I was talking about Sock Madness. They were saying that last year the qualifying round began around the 14th, and I'm like, so I double checked and I'm like, you're right, it did. It had, up until last year, the qualifying round always began around the 1st of March. But I think they tightened up the deadline and moved it up a bit so that it wasn't going so far into June each year before the whole competition finished. So I think that's why it bumped ahead. So I don't recall reading or seeing anywhere this year when the qualifying round would come out, but the registration finishes on the 13th or 14th, so I think it'll probably come out sooner rather than later. So I really would like to get that pair of socks done before that happens. I might not. I only have a couple days. Sundays are usually pretty busy. I don't get as much knitting done on a Sunday as I would like. And Monday I'm at work all day, so I won't get much done then. But I will have lots of time on Tuesday. But I doubt that I'll be able to finish them only on Tuesday. I don't knit that fast. Stay tuned and see. So, because once the qualifying round pattern comes out, I'm going to be zipping along with that as fast as I can. Well, not as fast as I can, but that'll be my main priority, my biggest priority. I'm getting a tickle in my throat here. So, my two new oh, did I? I didn't even tell you the name of the pattern or designer, did I? I don't think so. The warm-up pattern is called In the Twilight. It's a warm-up pattern for Sock Madness 18, and it's a pattern by Kate Poe. I should have mentioned that earlier, but anyway, I'm doing it with 2.25 millimeter needles, or US 1. That's basically it's my standard sock knitting needle size. I almost always use that size for socks. So I've also had, since I last talked to you, I don't think I had started these. Maybe I did, I don't remember. Anyway, I'm getting the tiniest bit of a start on my two scrappy tight cardigans I'm going to try to create for myself. The first one is going to use mitered squares, and I'm basing it on using the Coziest Memory blanket pattern by Kemper Ray, and I have one square done. I can't remember if I showed you this last week. I might have, because I seem to remember talking about it being so wonky. It's a wonky shape. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this or if I'm going to undo it and make it again. The yarn for this first one is one of the yarns that came in my row 1 mini package from December 23. So, and the marker is showing me the front side of the pattern, or the right side. So I think maybe my cast on might have been a little bit tight, or blocking might fix this, or once I've added more squares might fix this. But right now it's wonky. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I might make it I might make it again. I might pull this out and start over. I also hadn't done anything more with this because I was using a set of double point needles. So with these I'm using a 3.75 millimeter or a US 5, but these are only 6 inches, and when I was doing the stitches with 20 and 20 stitches, it was too cozy on here. And I was fearful that I was going to have stitches sliding off the end. So I planned on ordering a set of these, the exact same ones. I think this is a Knitter's Pride. I was going to order another set like this. Instead of being the 6 inch, they were 8 inch. But I put it in my cart, and then I went back the next day to order it because I wanted to double check and make sure I didn't want to order anything else on Amazon at the same time. And by that time it was they were gone. There were none left that length. So I snoozed and I loosed. So instead I ordered a Geogradient, same size, 3.75 millimeter or US 5, circular needle with the, I think it was the 16 inch. So the tips are a little shorter, which is fine, and I have 16 inches to work with, so that'll work better. I'm still going to use these for the other scrappy cardigan I'm going to try to create, because the needle size is okay for that. And speaking of that, that one is my jelly roll. The jelly roll blanket pattern, that's by KF Jones. And I have a little bit done on that one. I have what was left of the orange yarn on the first mitered square. So they're 10 gram skeins. I'm holding the fingering weight double for both this project and the mitered square project. So there was just this little bit of the orange left over from the first mitered square that I did, and then I just joined in a ball of yarn that I have. This is yarn I dyed myself. I think this is one of the first ones I dyed for myself using, this is with Kool-Aid, orange and red, one of the red colored Kool-Aids. So that's where I am with this one. And again, the stitch marker down here is just to mark the right side of the fabric. And I've got my fancy needle stoppers. This is a pair of those foam earplugs. Never been used in ears. They just came out of the package. So I bought a big package that had like 100 or 200, I don't know, a ton of them. Each pair individually wrapped in a little plastic bag. So I've just grabbed a pair of those to use as not stitch holders, needle stoppers. So I'm going to go a little bit farther on this first strip. Then I'm going to start, and I'm going to start working on a second strip. And then what I think I'll do is I will try to get all the strips all going at the same time and get them going around however wide I need this strip of fabric to cover all the way around my torso, and do several square or several strips so that I get the width that I need to get all the way around me. And then I'll start making each of the strips a bit longer until I need to figure out what to do for the sleeves and the collar and the shoulders, and I'll figure all that out later. I might just seam the shoulder. Probably I will do that. I'll probably seam the shoulders and then seam the sleeve in. I'll have to figure that out when I get there. But that's what I have so far on this one. So I'm going to go a little bit farther. I don't know if I want to do too much more, because this is, well, I have to decide how much longer I want to continue going with this, and then I can just save whatever, put this little ball of yarn back into my little scrap jar here, and save it for a pair of socks or whatever, or have enough so that I can make one of the little mitered squares somewhere along the line also. So that's the progress on my jelly roll cardigan. It's going to take a little while before that's going to fit me, but I'm having fun with it, and I'm excited to see how it progresses and how it looks. So I'm kind of excited with that. And yeah, I think I'm going to pull out that first mitered square I did and do it again. See if I can get it a little bit more squarish. I'll focus a little bit more carefully on making sure that I have the cast on is looser, or at least, I don't know. Maybe I'll just put that one aside and just do the jelly roll cardigan. Stay tuned. See what I decide. See what I figure out I'm doing with this. So, what else is new? Not a lot else is new around here. I think I'm going to try to refrain from casting on too much of anything else new. I do want to finish the warm-up socks, and I want to keep working on the two, at least the jelly roll cardigan idea and probably the mitered square idea. I just need to get some momentum going with that. And I also didn't really get any momentum going with that as I was deciding that the knitting needles were just too short to do 40 stitches on there. It works out perfectly for this one, because I have 20 stitches on here, but that's fine. But you can see how double the number of stitches was awful tight on that one. So it just wasn't working well with using those double points for the mitered squares. But now that I have those just arrived last night, I just haven't had a chance to do anything with that yet today. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to tell you about. It's been a pretty quiet, uneventful week. Oh, we went, no, not completely uneventful. We went Thursday. We went on Thursday. We drove up to close to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute drive from our place. We went up there and we went to the Dutch Apple Dinner Theater and saw the production of Agatha Christie's Mousetrap. And we had a blast. We really enjoyed it. Neither of us had seen the show before, and we'd been to this theater before, so we knew that the dinner part was nice. And we just stayed at a hotel pretty much right next door to the hotel, or to the theater. So we were able to just park at the hotel, just walk up the lane to the theater, and then walk back and not have to worry about driving anywhere afterwards. even though the first time we went, we stayed at a hotel that was just like not even a quarter mile down the road. But there we did have to drive to and from. So we had a really nice time. It was really good. We really enjoyed it. And I'm not giving any secrets away. So it was a lot of fun. And then we were thinking we would do some things on Friday, but we just vegged out at the hotel in the morning. Then we went out for a late breakfast when we were ready to check out of the hotel. Then we went and sat at McDonald's and had a coffee and Diet Coke, so that I had a work meeting that I had to Zoom in for. So I just got on Zoom, put my earphones on, sat through the meeting. The hubby sat there listening to an audiobook for 45 minutes while this meeting was on. And then by that point we decided, well, it's getting on to like 1:30, that let's just, so we came home after that. We were thinking we might do some other things in that area before we came home, but we thought, nah, we'll just head on home. So that was our excitement for the week. We really enjoyed this show. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd like to go to that dinner theater more often, because it's just, the shows are fantastic. They really do a good job there. The other show we saw, it was a year or two ago, we saw Beehive. That was a musical, and that was really good too. So we're gonna start keeping an eye out for what all is open and available there, and try to go there a little bit more often, because it really is a lot of fun. So that's what we did that was fun and exciting this past week. I almost forgot to tell you about that. Anyway, so other than that, work has been going well, and my spare time knitting is going well, and it's just going nicely. So we shall see if we get any snow on Tuesday. They're threatening snow for Tuesday. That doesn't impact me very much, because I don't have to be teaching on campus on Tuesday. I'm on campus Monday, Wednesdays, so it might not interfere with me at all, which should be good. So we shall see what happens with that. But beyond that, I should let you go. I'm going to get back to working on my socks, get those gusset stitches picked up, and keep working on the gusset decreasing for those socks and see how far I can get. So I'm knitting them 2 at a time in tandem. So I did one cuff, then I did the second, then I did the first leg, then the second leg. Then I did the first heel flap and heel turn, and I've just finished the second heel flap and heel turn. So now I'll do the gusset decreasing on one, and then I'll come back and I'll do the gusset decreasing on the other, then the foot on each, and then the toes on each. And then I'll be done. Alrighty, my camera's going to shut off because I'm almost at my max time for my memory card. So I will let you go, and I will see you guys again in a week. Alrighty, take care everyone. Bye.